Everyone, it's Brad. Thanks for taking the MIAC. This one right here is going to be on Google Forms. I'll show you two ways to get into Google Forms. One, if you just bring up a new tab and just type in forms.new, you can start a new form right away as long as you're logged into your account. The other way is to go into Drive, select New, come down to More, and then Google Forms. Now, you're going to notice right over in here, you're going to see that there's some templates and blank forms. You can also just select right here for a blank form. I'll just show you what the templates look like real quickly, just so you can get an idea. You can see you have a blank quiz, exit ticket, assessment, worksheet, course evaluation, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of nice to see those, that you can just quickly go in and check those out. A blank quiz is going to have everything ready to go, all set for you. It already knows it's going to be a quiz, but I'm going to show you how to do that in just a standard form. So anyway, just wanted to show you that right there. And when you do make a quiz, you're always going to notice this right up in here for total points. So that being said, let's go back to just a regular form. So when you type in forms.new, again, everything's going to be set up in Google, so you're good to go there. You do have to go in and obviously title it. So I'm just going to call this sample form. Now, you can see right in here, of course, you can put a description if you want to. Also, just for later on, you may just want to click here. It's going to copy what you put right up in there. Of course, you could always change this too if you want. Want to put a form description? Go ahead in and type in whatever you want. Sample for, MIAC. Okay. Now, right here, something just to point out. The form's automatically collecting email addresses for Methacton School District users. You may want that. You may not want that. If you're doing this with your students, it's kind of nice to have it, so you definitely know it's them taking it, or they're at least on their account. You can go in, though, and change the settings. Settings are also up here. So you can see this right here. You don't have to collect email addresses, and you don't have to restrict to Methacton. So, you can see those different options. However, if you do restrict to Methacton and you do collect email responses, one thing to point out, can respondents, can they edit after they submit? So this is going to be a quiz. Obviously you may not want them to be able to edit. Do you want them to see summary charts and text responses? Something to play around with. And also in here, if you ever have questions, you see a question mark, it's going to take you right in here to give you some descriptions from Google. So just to show you that. We're going to click Save. We're also going to go ahead and, if you go back to Settings, you're going to see there's a presentation. It can show a progress bar, so kind of a nice thing to have if it's a longer type quiz. It's maybe 20 questions or more, and maybe a 4 per page. It's nice to see a progress bar. You don't have to. You can always shuffle the question order. Important, if you are in a classroom, but it's totally up to you. And then usually you want to show a link to submit another response. It is up to you if you want that on or off. And confirmation message. Do you want, thank you for coming or taking this quiz or whatever it may be. Now, I'm also going to go to quizzes. If you want this to be a quiz, you have to say, make this a quiz. Now, if you're at school, there's something called locked mode on Chromebooks. Don't worry about it right now, but down the line, we can certainly take a look at that. And then there are these options. So this is kind of the, nuts and bolts of things. And this is where things can kind of fall apart if you just don't remember to go in here. Do you want to release a grade after each submission? Or do you want to review it? Now, the reason why this is, if you immediately release it, that could be like a multiple choice or a true false or something where it may be just like a one-word answer that you 100% the kids have to put in or the respondents have to put in. If you do something like you want to go in and you want to grade an open-ended, like a paragraph, in that case you would release a grade later after manual review. In here, I'll just leave this immediately after each submission. Respondents, can they see missed questions? Can they see the correct answers? So if they answer, 2 times 4 and they put 6, can they see that the correct answer is actually 8? And will they be able to see point values? Totally up to you. Play around with it, see what you like. But I'm going to hit Save. So now it's a quiz. So you're going to notice right up in here it says total points 0 because we haven't had any questions. So we got to add a question. right in here, you could go ahead in and just type it in. So one thing to point out actually is two quick things. One, even though it's collecting email addresses, it's nice to have, you may want to do first name, might want to do first name, last name, and you can see that it does a short answer. Now, in this case, again, you want it to be required. Answer key. We'll come back to this in a little bit, but obviously we're not going to have it as any points. Now, what I want to do here, and this is kind of a nice thing, is I'm going to duplicate this because now I'm just going to go ahead in and it's going to be last name. Okay, so, and again, it's required. So we have first name, we have last name. Now we need to go ahead in, and now we need to add some other questions. So I'm going to add my first question. So I hit the plus. And let's just say, this is something that I typically forget to do. I just do. I forget to put the number. It's important to have the number because when you're reviewing this, hey, number 5. Well, if you don't number it, obviously. So, if I just said, what is 2 plus 2? Okay, easy enough. Over here, it's going to, like right up in here, when I put last name, it went to short answer. So it kind of has, it's going to notice and it's going to adjust to the type of questions that are put in there. You can always adjust it back if you want, but if you want multiple choice, just choose multiple choice, come down here and put your options. Like A is going to be 4. I'll just put a couple in here. B is 6. C is 8. And D is 10. Okay. So there they are. Even though you see this, as long as you have 4 X's here, that means that there are 4 possibilities. Even though it has this down here, you don't have to add another thing. You can, though, however, just so you see this, you could add an image. And if you add an image, you could just go ahead in and you could search if you want to. You could do a Google image search for, let's just say, I forget where I am. I don't know, 8. So if I did the number 8, I could have that and I could insert it. Oh, it was 10. Whoops. But you get what I'm saying. So you could certainly do that if you wanted to even... Actually, let's do this. Let's go here and let's put in a Google image search for 8. So let's put this in, insert it. And what I'm going to do here, though, is I'm just going to remove that at all. So it's a little bit more fun, totally up to you how you want to do it. But now you need to make an answer key. So you can do this at the end. You could do it right away. I typically like to do it while I'm actually doing the quiz. So I'm now going to select answer key. And because I want it to be, let's just say 1 point. 2 plus 2, we're going to say 4. Okay. Now we're going to say done. If you want, you could add some answer feedback. You can say, hey, an incorrect answer is, here's a video to watch about the possibility, what the answer is, or here's a link to take a look at something else. Correct answers, you could just say good job. So again, up to you. I'm not going to leave it. I'm not going to add anything. I'm going to select done, and now I'm going to go into my next question. So in order to do that, always look here. All right, and you can add a question. So now if I'm going to say, let's have an open-ended. What is your, no, let's say this. What is the day after Monday? All right, so obviously it's going to be Tuesday. So you're going to see it's going to have multiple choice, but let's say I don't want that. I want it to be a short answer, and obviously the answer is going to be Tuesday. What you can do, though, is we're going to go into an answer key. This is where you put in Tuesday. If you want, and this is important because, let's make it worth a point. If with my daughter, who was in 5th grade, early on with forms, her teacher would put things out about, hey, the answer might have been 25. Well, she put in 25, the number 25, but certain kids would put in 25, in word form. And some would put in hyphenated and things like that. So if you just put in like that, and then you put in this as well, all those would be correct. And all other answers are incorrect. Again, if you want to put answer feedback, you certainly don't have to, but you can. All right, so let's add this. I want you to notice something. Right over in here, there are also sections. So if you want to separate some things, like you're like, you know what, maybe that's a lot of questions, just add a section, and it just continues on to the next section. And you don't have to title the section if you don't want to. You could just go ahead and just keep adding questions. So I'll just put another one here. And one thing that's really kind of cool is this. Tell me what you learned from watching the video of the moon. Okay, whatever. Obviously, I'd come up with a better question than that, but you get my point. What you can do is you can add a video directly from YouTube. So if I type in moon, let's choose this one. Select it. Give it a title, moon video. If I want to center it, makes it look a little bit better. I can certainly do that. So we can have that in there. Now, again, there are other things. You can add titles and descriptions. You can import questions. And when you import questions, you're going directly from forms that you've created in the past. So just to show you that. So if you know you've created some, go ahead in and you can import them. Something to take a look at. If you've never done it before, then obviously don't worry about it. Now, I do need to go into this one. And this one, though, you wouldn't necessarily give a grade on because you want to do a manual review later on. So you can always just leave it like this. They have to answer the question, but if I click in here, the answer key, it's really going to be kind of hard to go in and do that. So you can see answer key feedback. You could go in, but again, that's kind of up to you how you want to deal with those responses. All right, so you're doing all this and you want to see what it looks like. And let's go ahead in and just preview it. So this is what they would see. Okay. They get it. Now you can see, because I put in an image here, it's noticing that the image is here. So there's no image here, here, or here. Again, it's up to you how you want to do it. And then here it is as well. So if I went in and I hit here and I put Tuesday, I have to hit next to go in. Oh, I forgot my, whoops, that is not my name. Okay. And also for you to notice, you can always preview it and to go back to it, just click on the pencil. And then you can go into the next one. And then here is the video of the moon, which you can go ahead in and let's just, whatever, call it sample. Now I'm going to submit it. And when I submit it, I can view my score. And there's my little thing. Thank you for coming. Whatever. View my score. And when I view it, I can see that, oh my gosh, I got that one wrong. I said 2 + 2 is 8. It tells you what the correct answer is because I had that as one of the settings. That's correct. And this one here, it wasn't worth anything just because we said it wasn't worth anything. All right. So you have that. What we're going to do is we can go ahead back, and now you want to view your responses. So here's a response because I just did it. You can go through and you can see some insights. You can see how many had it right. When did the person respond? But you could also go ahead in and go by just certainly by questions here, and you can see your questions. All right. So, but let's go back to responses and let's go to each individual question. Here's who I am. You can, of course, go ahead through and next question. And it goes through. Here we go. All right. So you can see, and you're going to see those as you get more. You're going to see, obviously, some more information. I'll go through and just show you the rest of that there. Now, if you want to go by individual, this is something that's really nice to have because you could print this out. Print this out right away, and just to show you something, just as a reminder, if you hit print, you can always just save it as a PDF, and if you save it as PDF, you could mail it to a family, or print it out, or whatever you want to do with it. That also being said, if you click right up in here, you could download responses, you could select response, get all these things, right? But something to point out is you can create a spreadsheet, and I'm just going to click create, because now it's going to give me a spreadsheet and it'll update until I don't want kids taking this test anymore. and you can see timestamp, email, the score. One thing I like to do, I like to select right in here, and then I like to center align things. It just makes things a little bit easier for me to read. And you can always move these over as well. If it makes it easier, it may not. It is up to you. The problem is it is depending on how many questions you have, it does kind of shoot over a little bit. So just, please notice that. But you'll certainly have the results right away. You can see it and you can see how you do. If you want, you can release scores, and that's later on. If you are grading it with, you're going to go through and you're going to grade that open-ended. This is where you go back and you send emails and release the score to everyone. So again, something to check around with, play with it. But here's one. I just wanted you to be aware and you to kind of see this. Well, two quick things. One, you can customize the theme. You can change colors, obviously. You can also choose an image. So if you liked, you can scroll through and see things. And there's, birthday ones and parties and all that kind of stuff. But let's choose that one. It makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun. Of course, you can change the theme color. Totally up to you. Background color, font. There isn't a ton with font. You can, make it a little bit. You can change that. So that's something to see. The other thing I really wanted to point out is this. Let's say I wanted to work on this with somebody in my team. Say there's 4 of us on a team, and we all want to work together. Here's the thing. You can add collaborators, and you can all work on it right away. So if I was going to send this to, let's go to Allison Navarrete, I can go ahead and notify her. She is going to be an editor on this, and she and I can work on this and create what we'd like to. Now, that also being said, if you want to remove somebody, you can just hit the X and you can notify them. You don't have to notify them. Put in a message, same kind of thing. Now, here's the important thing. When you're doing this and you're all working together, what I'd recommend doing is when you're all done. Of course, I do have a response in here, but you wouldn't have a response. What I recommend doing is going in, make a copy, and then call it whatever you want to call it. Good form, or whatever it may be. You don't want to share it with the same people because you want this to not have any responses. So you can see right here, there's no responses. This is a wide open form that you can now send out. No one's going to be on it. You're not going to get anyone else's responses except for those you send it to. So how do you send it? Just click on send right here. You could, of course, do it this way if you want. You can also just grab the link. I always like shorten the URL. Makes it look a little bit better. And then just copy it. Now, if you want to embed it in your Google website, you can do that. That's, a little next step right there, next level. But it's really important you do that. You copy it, and then you can take a look and see what it would look like. Control V to paste in. So here it is. All right. One last thing to point out. If you have a form like this and you want to quickly share it with other people, let's just say in another school, what you can do is you can see how it says edit here. If you just click back here, get rid of the edit, put copy, and then copy the whole thing, what'll happen is this is going to force anybody who comes in here, so this is for other teachers, to force a copy. There's no way they're going to be on your form. So they won't mess with it. They can't touch it because you force them to make a copy. So again, that's going up to this edit, changing edit to copy. Just those few little things to kind of point out. Other than that, if you do have questions, please, reach out, let me know. Just remember, there are always these things up here. There are more things, obviously, you can do with forms, but you can get started with this. And, of course, if you have questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.